Welcome to OJ Studios. I hope you enjoy Punishment by Olivia Julius. Chapter 7 Packing Up and Rolling Out Part 2 Friday. I was at school sitting in Mrs. Yokman's class. I took notes before something odd took place. I felt something weird around my legs and noticed that I was no longer wearing the uniform slacks that I was supposed to be wearing, but instead I was wearing the girl's uniform. I was shocked, but I did not say anything. I did not want to be called a sissy. So, there I was listening to Mrs. Yokman talking about the Civil War, as I tried to hide the fact that I was wearing the girl's uniform. But then next to me came a voice. It was off at first, but then it got louder and louder. At first, I tried to ignore the voice, but it just kept at it. "Sissy." The voice kept saying, "You're a sissy, aren't you?" "No," I said, trying to keep focused on Mrs. Yokman. I was trying to ignore the fact that I was wearing this uniform. "Sissy girl." I turned my head to find Eric was the one whispering it to me. "I'm not a sissy," I said, but then I could hear Alex on the other side of me. "He's a sissy. Look, he's wearing a dress." Then suddenly all my classmates looked up and turned to face me as if they had just noticed what I was wearing. The thing was, everyone was wearing the boys' uniform, even the girls. I was the only one wearing the jumper. One boy got up and pointed at me and started laughing, causing the whole class to start laughing. I backed up and almost tripped over my chair. Then Gracie got up from her seat and turned to face me. She looked normal, except instead of having her beautiful long brunette hair, she was completely bald. I looked from her head to her hands, where she was holding her hair in her fist. "This is what you did to me, sissy," she hissed. She then grabbed the hold of my hair and started to pull. I tried to get away from her, but my classmates grabbed me and held me, preventing me from escaping. I was helpless. There was nothing I could do to stop her. That is when I woke up. I sat upright and out of breath as I slowly realized that I was not in the classroom, but instead in my room. I slowly looked around the room, now dimly lit by the morning sun. As I relaxed, I patted my head to make sure my hair was still on my head. "Thank goodness it was all just a dream," I whispered as I fell back onto my bed. I stayed in my bed and looked down. I still had the nightgown on, and it was weighted up around my legs. I was amazed that I still had it on and that I did not take it off. I looked over at my closet. The door was halfway open, and I could see that my boy clothes were all in there ready to be worn. I tried to debate to myself whether I should go ahead and get the boys' clothes on, or if I should wait for Mom to tell me what I was wearing. On one hand, my boy clothes were right there. I could just pick out a pair of jeans and a t-shirt and walk down the stairs like nothing happened. Then Mom was probably too busy to notice what I was wearing, and boom, punishment averted. But then the thought of what else could happen popped in my head. If she saw me wearing these clothes, would she then get mad and take away all my clothes, forcing me to wear girls' clothes forever? Deciding against changing, I walked downstairs where Mom was cooking a light breakfast and Dad was getting the rest of our stuff ready for the trip. I examined the mess that Dad had made and debated whether I should go back upstairs and pretend to still be asleep. "Good morning, Amanda," Mom said. I jumped. I did not expect to be spotted. Mom handed me a plate of pancakes and put some clothes on the table in front of me. I could tell they were girls' clothes, and I wished I did not have to wear this today and I could go to Missouri in peace wearing normal good old boy clothes. Of course, like all my hopes that weekend, they were shattered. I got done with my breakfast and I picked up the clothes and went to my room. I still had the mindset that if I played along, they would be finished with this punishment. I walked up to my room and shut the door before slowly throwing the clothes on the bed. The question of whether I should just go ahead and put my boy clothes was still lingering in my head. I grabbed a pair of yellow underwear with colorful circles all around it. Seeing them made me wonder why girls have such colorful underwear for if no one was going to see them. I put on the pair of underwear on first, trying to pretend it was boys' briefs that I was putting on. That is when I noticed something else that was strange about girls' underwear. There was no hole in the front. Instead, it was just smooth. Another thing I noticed was that I was putting it on backwards. I quickly flipped them around and slid them up to my waist. I expected there to be a dress in the bag, but instead I was surprised to take out a girly shirt. The shirt was light purple with silky sleeves that just went over my shoulder and lace covered the sleeves and the bottom. I put it on and about gagged at the knowledge that I was wearing this girly thing. I dared not to look over at my door where my mirror was, in fear that if I did, I would scare myself out of wearing these clothes. Next, I pulled out what I had thought was shorts, but when I unfolded them, I figured out that it was really a denim skirt. I rolled my eyes and unbuttoned the button and I slid it on and around to my waist. Honestly, this was the easiest thing to wear since surprisingly it felt more like I was wearing shorts than I would have imagined. The only bad thing was instead of going down to my knees like my boy shorts, the skirt stopped about 4 inches above my knee, making it shorter than anything I was used to. The last items in the bag were a pair of purple socks with a pink heart pattern on it and a pair of purple and pink shoes. I slid the socks onto my ankles and slid on the shoes, hoping that I would not have to keep wearing these permanently. I got up from my bed and walked over the full-size mirror on my door. I took a deep breath before looking into it. Before me stood the same girl from yesterday. There was no hint that the girl in the mirror was ever a boy, and instead the girl, even with a frown on her face, looked as if she was getting ready for a normal day. I fought the urge to go back to my bed and change out of the clothes, but I knew that if I did, Mom would force me to back to my bedroom where no doubt, she would dress me like she did yesterday, with probably more girly clothes. After a few quick moments of hesitation, I somehow found enough strength to leave my room so I could help Dad finish packing our suitcases into the car. Once I got down there, I started the monstrous pile before him, and I was amazed how much stuff we needed to take with up to Missouri. Scattered around the living room was bags of all shapes and sizes, and in the middle Dad was putting the last of our supplies in their proper place. "Take this to the car," he said, tossing one of the bags over to me. I grabbed it and turned to go to the garage when out of the front window I spotted the car in front of the house and not in the garage where it is normally kept. I had a feeling this was on purpose. I closed my eyes, wishing that Dad would not make me do this. I divinely know that I do not want to go outside, as the girl expressly not here in my neighborhood. "Go on," he said, looking at me like I was crazy. "But it's outside," I said quietly, looking down at my clothing. Dad showed no remorse as he ordered me to go outside and put the stuff into the car. I walked out slowly, with me holding my bag tightly as I left the front door to my house for the first time since beginning my punishment. I live on a small dead-end street, so I was not worried about cars passing by more than I was to have the neighbors see me. I looked both ways, making sure the road was clear, and I ran to the car. The openness of the skirt surprised me and made the weird open feeling of the skirt 100% more awkward to my little boy brain. To one side of my brain, it felt good, but the other side my brain yelled at me, screaming, "You're a boy, you can't like this. Are you a sissy?" I shook my head, getting the thoughts out of my head, and I finally got to the car. I wanted to get back inside. I opened the trunk and threw the bag inside, slamming the trunk closed after throwing it in. I came back to the house to find another bag. I repeated the steps until the last, when I spotted a young woman, maybe upper 20s, and a little girl about 3 years old. I froze, not wanting to move but also knowing that if I did not, I was going to be in trouble. I took a breath and started walking normally, hoping they would not spot me. I picked up the bag and walked, thinking to myself to be a girl. I got to the car and opened the trunk and threw it in. The mother and daughter walked by me and did not even look back and question whether I was boy or girl. I smiled and walked back to the house more confident. Once the Ford was packed and my parents were finally ready to go, we left, heading west to Missouri. I got into the back seat and watched through the windows as we pulled away from the house. As we left town, I ducked low in my seat, hoping that none of my friends would spot me. I kept watching out the window of the car. To most people this would be a fun family vacation, but to me I was stuck being someone I was not. I looked down at what I was wearing. To most girls this would be a normal everyday outfit, but to me it is as alien as I know of.